Andrew left. Andrew left. Citron Research. Folks, I need to start entering the whistleblower because I have helped the SEC uncover numerous, probably dozens upon dozens of flat-out scams and frauds over the years. And I'm going to show you that I actually was the person who tipped off the SEC on Andrew left. In fact, I'll go ahead and show this several times. Let me go ahead and show it right now. Now, I didn't have a chance to take a look, a deep look in my emails because, of course, this is just breaking news. I wanted to get this out. And I have a lot of, I try and save all the emails from the SEC through the years. And I have hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands. But so I was able, though, to find a couple, and I'm sure I have more. So I'm going to show you here this email, or two emails, actually. And so you can see, take a look. This was dated February 3rd, 2018. And you can see this is obviously not my first email, right? Andrew left continues to commit securities fraud. I had been emailing the SEC about this piece of shit, and it was obvious to me, okay? And I'll explain the whole situation. And you can see I'm not too happy with the SEC here. And I explained to the SEC, listen, this guy's a fucking nobody. He's a dirtbag. And he's getting all this promotion. How is this possible? What's going on, right? And I'll explain that here a little bit later. But the bottom line is that Andrew left. Andrew left, who has been indicted for several counts of securities fraud, and faces potentially about the same time in prison that Sam Bankman-Fried potentially faced. I think, I don't know, over 120 years or so. And, you know, that's another topic of discussion, what I think is going to happen to left. But I wanted to bring up the point here. What I noticed several years ago is Bloomberg was heavily involved in promoting this guy. I believe, and I'll stake my life on it. I don't have the evidence, but I'll stake my life on it, that Bloomberg was getting paid by Andrew left to promote him and to promote him at these events that they do. Okay? And of course, Andrew left was plastered all over the media as some expert. If you look into his past, the guy's a fucking dirtball. He's not even a used car salesman. He's worse than that. I mean, look at the face. In this case, looks are not deceiving, right? So, you know, as an expert myself, I'm thinking, like, where did this guy come from? What potential? Why would they be promoting this guy? Right? He's not. Is he from a Wall Street firm? Does he have a track record? No, none of that. In fact, prior to him being promoted by CNBC, by Bloomberg, by the rest of the mafia, you know, the crooks that run the media, right? Can't say who they are. It's hate speech. What a fucking joke. I should tell you what's going on. Prior to that, he was already convicted of securities fraud by the Hong Kong Exchange several years prior to that. Now, Andrew left. Folks, I know the whole song and dance for all these fucking frauds. I've been following him for the longest time. And Andrew left. He used to have I think a site was called like Stock Lemons or something like that. And basically, he would manipulate penny stocks. He'd manipulate penny stocks, and by getting all this media exposure, you know, if you're a small time guy, you know, you'll manipulate penny stocks. So some of these fake traders, these fraudsters like Tim Sykes and his little fucking crew of scammers, they why do you think they play penny stocks? Because they can manipulate them. You see, they can get the suckers who are too stupid to realize what's going on to pump their trade up or pump it down. whether they're short or long. But when Andrew left, got all this exposure, suddenly he's got a big audience. He's on CNBC. He's on Bloomberg. So he doesn't need to manipulate penny stocks anymore. He goes after bigger stocks. You understand? It's kind of like, in fact, it's funny. You might want to read a comment stream on, I guess it's on this site or my other site. I think it's on this site. On Tom Nash, recent video just posted. There's a guy who's convinced that Cathie Wood is legit and she's great. Her funds are up. I mean, how do you explain to this person? It would take me a very long time. If you don't realize Cathie Wood is a fraud in an absolute pathological life, there's no way she could be this stupid to make some of the claims that she's made. If you don't realize that, I can't. It's hard to. It's kind of like asking a professor of chemistry or physics, if you're like a 6-year-old and you want to understand how the universe operates, the laws of the universe, and you're asking a professor of physics, let's say, to explain it to you. That's not practical. You understand? All you need to know is look at who I am and my track record. Whatever I fucking say, the default is it's fact until proven otherwise. I've earned that right over the years. Okay? Now, Cathie Wood manipulates stocks. How? Tesla has carried her all these years. If you take a close look, I haven't taken a close look. I don't need to take a close look. It's so fucking obvious. Okay? Take a look and research it for yourself. Tesla pretty much carried her funds. All right? Take a look at most of the stocks she's had have been fucking trash. Dog shit. Complete trash bags. Okay? But they've also had something else in common. They've been small caps. You know why? She's manipulating those stocks. Why do you think Cathie Wood, instead of having Google and Microsoft and Nvidia and Netflix, right? She has these stupid names, Teldocs and fucking garbage like that. She probably had Peloton, which I knew was a fucking scam from day one. I mean, so because she can manipulate these stocks. It's easier to move the price when she goes on CNBC and gives her disruptive technology speech. You see? She doesn't know anything about technology. I'm the fucking technology guy. I'm the guy with the master's in chemistry and biophysics. Okay? I'm the guy that was working in healthcare information technology and telemedicine 20 years ago. Wrote a book on it, the first book ever to discuss it. I probably know a little bit about telefucking medicine. Okay? And Teldocs never hit my fucking radar until someone asked me about it in a session for clients, and I told them it was a fucking joke company about 3 years ago. So my point is that, Cathie Wood, she's a liar and a fraud. Just like Andrew left. Folks, if they're involved in the media, you have to understand this. You've got to fucking write this down. They're in the media all the time for a reason. Because they're trying to pitch their fucking book. You got it? They're trying to get you suckers to make them successful. And the media loves it because it creates dumb money, which boosts the cost of the advertisements. They make more money because you fuck up, you blow up your portfolio listening to these experts, and then you need help from Merrill Lynch and Charles Schwab and JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. You understand? Anybody who's a regular guest on the media, you better fucking believe they're losers, and they're there trying to become a success by pitching their celebrity status. This is all media. You see it all the time. All the reality TV shows, all these guys, real estate geniuses, are fucking losers, and they end up having their real estate seminars because of their TV celebrity status. Oh, you know me from the flipping homes. I'm going to have a webinar, a seminar now, and buy my book, right? It's the fucking media scam, okay? Successful people aren't wasting their fucking time on TV. I talked about this many years ago with Donald Trump. Same thing. Why the fuck do you think he was on this Apprentice garbage? Because he didn't have a pot to piss in. He wasn't making any money. He used that to leverage his name to create a bunch of scam companies, including Trump University, which we all know about that. Okay, so Andrew left doing the same thing, a little bit different though. What Cathie Wood is doing is more subtle. And she is probably not doing anything illegal. I say probably. I'm not positive. Certainly Andrew Left has been doing this, and I saw it from day one. He was paying Bloomberg, scumbag criminal operation. He was paying Bloomberg to be promoted. Okay? And guess what happened? Let's go ahead and let me finish this email here. Now, you might, if you're reading this, you might note that the email talks about, and I'm telling you, you can see, you need to seriously shut the fuck up and stop discounting the insights of experts like myself by asking for proof when the SEC has all the data it needs to prove every case I've ever entered. So I'm talking about this. You can see it's based upon an ongoing dialogue between me and the SEC, because I previously called out Andrew Left, and here's what the SEC is a completely criminal organization. They're in the mafia. It's part of the mafia, okay? What they do is they don't want to go after anybody. They don't want to go after anybody because it's their buddies, the buddy system, okay? Take a look at who these guys are committing all the fraud. No, they're kind of related to the guys running the SEC, if you know what I mean. FINRA as well, okay? If you understand the tribal nature of these people, if you don't know the tribal nature, I suggest you kind of do some research. Explains a lot. I didn't know anything about it until I got banned and started asking questions and researching. You know, if you're not part of the, if you're not a chosen one, you're not going to be in the media. Guarantee that, unless you're betting down with one or you're supporting their business. That's just a fact. But Andrew Left, I had talked about him manipulating stocks, and the SEC came back to me and wanted proof. And that's what I'm talking about. How the fuck am I going to have proof when I don't have access to his trades, to his trading accounts? They don't want to prosecute anyone, folks. I'm telling you. They want to make sure you have the proof. Do you know why? Do you know why they refuse to go after anyone who doesn't have all the proof they need? Because they don't want to prosecute anyone. If you show them you have proof positive that someone's committing fraud, they have to go after them. Otherwise, the oversight committees in Congress are going to say, hey, wait a second. What the fuck you guys doing here? You understand? They don't want to investigate anything. Almost all the cases that I've ever come across that I'm aware of, unless aside from the small cases, almost all the big cases of securities fraud that the SEC has prosecuted have been due to outside tips. That is to say, the SEC very rarely on its own goes after these criminals. Did you all know that? No, you didn't know that. Okay? I lived through this whole thing early on. Back in 2008, when I filed a complaint to the SEC about Washington Mutual, how they were not insolvent, they were taken illegally by, it was actually the FDIC, although they say it was the OTC, but it was actually the FDIC that took them but anyway. And that's what led to, by the way, me being interrogated by federal agents to intimidate me, to shut me up. Okay? That's a whole other story. I've told that story a long time ago. And I have, for any of you fuckers out there, anybody that doubts me should be called a fraud. Based upon my fucking track record of being right, of calling things out, should be called a fucking fraud. But and of course, folks, when you expose scammers and fraudsters, you have a target on your back. You understand? But anybody that doubts me, I still have the fucking business card of the federal agent. That's right. I still have it. After what? God, how many years now? Almost 20 years, right? Anyway, so You like this? SEC staffers need to stop watching online porn, get their heads out of their asses, and start protecting investors from left and the media criminals. This refers to a report a couple of years prior to that, I believe, where the Office of the Inspector General, the SEC, undertook an investigation and found that many SEC employees were watching online porn during work hours. That's correct. You can look it up if you don't believe me. So here's one of the emails. There's another one here. I'll go ahead and show you. And you can see this is dated October 26, 2018. I'm sure I have other ones in 2017, maybe even 16. You can see, is the SEC aware of the fact that the slimeball Andrew Left is helping funds he works with to front-run stocks which he pumps or dumps in the media? It is illegal for Left to avoid disclosing positions his business affiliates have in securities. He mentioned the media. A good deal of the media players are in on this as well. Has anyone over there wondered why this clown and con man gets constant media exposure despite being a penny stock con man and clown? So I knew what was going on. He was dealing with hedge funds. He was getting paid to pump certain positions and trash on others. Okay? And I told the SEC this, and they come back to, oh, you have any proof? You have any fucking proof? When the SEC has all the data. Folks, I lived this whole song and dance back in 2008, once again, when I exposed the whole Washington Mutual scam, and the SEC comes back to me, oh, do you have any proof? Right? When I said, look, give me access to the fucking data, and I'll show you the proof. Okay? Anyway, so once again, don't ever forget this. The SEC does not want to take down the criminals. What the SEC does is they focus on the small-time stockbrokers, okay? I don't know if it's still today in existence, but every Tuesday or so in the Wall Street Journal, you see the list of the SEC actions against stockbrokers typically, okay? It's put there to make it look like they're policing the system. Let me tell you something. The securities laws are so vast and complicated that most of these securities attorneys at the SEC do not even know the majority of the laws. How do you know? You know how I know that? They fucking told me that. Okay? My point is this. Many of these stockbrokers engage in issues that they're sanctioned for that they don't even know. They did it. There was no intent. They did it accidentally. They didn't know they broke the law. Yet the SEC focuses on this. Now, I'm not saying they're all innocent because, there's certainly many crooks. But my point is that the people that are really hurting the markets, that are hurting investors, are the big guys. That's why the SEC has permitted payment for order flow. Okay? And that's why Ken Griffin, Citadel, the payment for order flow kingpin, I saw in the news, he just purchased I think for $46 million, a fucking dinosaur. When you have money falling from the sky, you're just going to buy anything. You understand what I'm saying? He's able to print money. Okay? He's able to print money. Now, the whole thing here, let's take a look now. Let's get into the nitty-gritty details here. You can see here. And you can just read it for yourself. I'm not going to read this. But anybody, you all, I don't know if you all know Left. And let me just show you another thing here. I'll go ahead and let you read this, and I'll do some talking, and I'll show you some images I've got from, these are archived from a long time ago. I actually have about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 entries on Andrew Left on my website that I published several years ago exposing the same thing. Now, before I continue with him, let me just mention, so I don't forget, there's another guy you may have heard of, does a similar thing. Carson Block. That's right, you guessed it. Left, Block. They're related. They're related to the guys like Jim Cramer. You understand that, right? Carson Block, his firm, his name is Muddy Waters. doing the same shit. Well, I don't know if he's colluding with hedge funds, but he's trying to manipulate stocks. Now, he's not as brace. He doesn't do it as bad. He's a little more subtle about it. That's for sure. But it's the same. It's pretty much the same song and dance. These guys, they get media exposure. Why? Why should they have media exposure? They're a nobody. They're fucking nobody. You got me, arguably the best investment analyst in the world, based on my track record. Take a look at it. Okay? Certainly, I mean, if you don't even know my track record, just read the fucking chapters on the archive.org on the financial crisis. I predicted that better than anybody. I'm clearly one of the top guys in the world, even just from that alone. Okay? If you're skeptical. Think about why you don't get to hear what I have to say. Why would they promote some fucking jughead nobody clown who never even worked on Wall Street? And he's got an agenda, and we're talking here about Carson Block of Muddy Waters and Andrew Left of Citron, who's got an agenda. Obviously, his agenda is to trash stocks. And these guys, by the way, they never disclosed their positions. Now, here's the point. The media is getting away with this fucking fraud. The media should face some severe penalties. They need to get rid of that fucking law. The media needs to be liable for this shit. Okay? It's a complete criminal operation. These guys wouldn't have been able to pull off their shit without using the media. And the media knew exactly, those people know what the hell's going on. They know what Andrew Left was doing. Okay? You're not going to hear about that. Why? Well, because the media is, that's one of the legs, the chair legs of the mafia, right? They're not going to go after them. And who do you think has made that law to protect the media? The Federal Communications Act. What is it? I don't know, 1992 or something like that. Who do you think is litigating all that stuff? Who do you think is running the legal system? You understand? If you don't understand, get with the program. Okay? So, you can just read all this here. I mean, look at this guy. What a fucking... This guy looks like a convicted criminal. He looks like he was born in the prison. Look at this. Look, I mean, seriously. I mean, tell me he doesn't look like he's a very, very untrustworthy scumbag. I mean, I don't say that about... I don't think I've ever said it about anybody. But to me, you just look at the guy, and sometimes, folks... Sometimes looks are not deceiving. And in this case, I have to believe that's certainly correct. Andrew Left took advantage of his readers. He built their trust and induced them to trade on false pretenses so that he could quickly reverse direction and profit from the price moves following his reports. And in fact, they talk about how he was bragging to his friends how it was so easy for him to get people watching TV to do what he wanted. I mean, this is like the fucking YouTube people. And you can see here, Left also created phony invoices for consulting services that he did not provide to conceal that he was getting more than $1 million from a hedge fund in exchange for Citron Research publishing certain reports and tweets. See that? I tipped the SEC off on this many years ago. And in fact, let me show you something else here. Because the SEC, this is not it. The SEC, there's a report actually that shows, okay, here we go. Well, it shows all of this. There's like about 23 stocks that are in this complaint from the SEC. And guess when those stocks, they're 2018 on to 2020, 2021. Okay. I'm telling you, folks, I tipped off the SEC. Okay. I tipped them off. There's no doubt about it. But it was an easy. It's so obvious. This was obvious fraud. So you can see. I remember coming across this in 2021. I heard his federal agents raided his home, and then right then I knew that I was responsible for that. Okay, and I was fucking happy. I think I mentioned it somewhere. And ever since then, you can tell Andrew left. I'm the one that fucking cut him. I cut him. Okay? Boom. These motherfuckers, I'm telling you folks, there's a lot of people who've gotten the hammer slammed down, and they don't even know that I did it. Okay? There's a lot of fucking names. Because I know too much. Okay? And the one thing I hate more than anything is a fucking scammer. They're worse than anybody. They are, people who commit financial fraud. I think that we should impose similar laws that they have in China. Okay? You may want to look into those laws. Basically, you're talking about the death penalty. And actually, I don't even believe in the death penalty. I don't like it, but because I think there's a lot of people that are innocent that are put to death. But when you're talking about something like this, where you can prove it, you're going to have an accuracy rate of 100%. Let me show you some images here. Yeah, so here you go. So this is you can see May 31st, 2017. Folks, this is from my image library, which is probably about 15,000 images, maybe even 20. The vast majority are annotated like this one is. I went ahead and actually censored this one. But you can see this is for Carson Block. You can see he's manipulating this penny stock. Okay? See that? And take a look. It's halted after Muddy Waters announces a short position. You see that? So how is he getting his announcement into the media? Who is he? He's a nobody. You understand? See that? These microcaps, folks, are very easy to manipulate. Okay? And I mentioned here, there are many other gold mining companies that are in much worse shape, namely Jim Sinclair. You all know Jim Sinclair? This fucking con man. What a fucking... Folks, if you all don't know, these are the Jim Sinclair is one of the fucking kingpins in the gold pumping mafia. Okay? That I know also, I'm like their biggest enemy. I've exposed all their shit for 15 years. And how they work, by the way, is, you got the guys that push gold. And then you got the guys that are like, oh, yeah, gold, gold is great. It's going to go to the moon. And they say, well, you should buy this penny stock. It's great. I'm running this company. I'm going to do really well. You can make a lot of money. Okay. Fucking scams. They call them junior mining stocks. Whenever you hear junior miners, run for the fucking hills. Okay. Run for the fucking hills. You're dealing with scammers. They're all over YouTube. They're all over fucking YouTube, by the way. Okay. Adam Taggart's part of that shit. Chris Martinson's part of that shit. But they intersect with all the dooms guys. The direct guys involved. Doug Casey, Rick Rule, Porter Stansberry, Martin Katuza, many others. I mean, it's, So anyway, that's why I mentioned Jim Sinclair here. This guy had some bullshit company. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So you can see Carlson Block is able to use his media exposure, right? That alone causes the stock to collapse by 31%. Why? Media exposure, and it's a micro cap. So ask yourself the question. Well, ask yourself this question. Well, Mike, maybe it collapsed because Carlson Block is a genius, and if he says it's bad, he's got a short position, then it must be bad. No. It's called following the trade. You understand? People know that he has the exposure to influence the retail idiots out there who are going to jump on that short. You see what I'm saying? And so it becomes a domino effect. And all Carlson Block has to do is fucking nothing. It does nothing. You understand? That whole scam, and it enriches him. So you can see here, you might recall. So these two clowns teamed up to trash Luck and Coffee. Okay. Now, so you can see, why are these guys getting promoted? They don't have any credibility. They have no credibility. Why? Why is that? Right? And you can read this. And you can read this little synopsis here. There could be some grammatical errors because this is just done on the fly. But you notice he talks about an anonymous report he got. It's anonymous. Anybody can say that. You see what I'm saying? It's clear manipulation. Now let me just remind you all about an instance, a case that's interesting to think about. I talked about this recently if you saw my video on Kyle Bass. Kyle Bass, I didn't talk about this in detail, but I did mention that he was involved in a securities manipulation case. And of course, magically he got away scot-free. I think maybe he had a fine or something. But Kyle Bass was trashing a stock that he shorted. And what the problem was is he went around on forums and he trashed the stock, and he did not say who he was, and he did not disclose his position. He actually went to the extent, I think he actually made a website to post all types of things. Okay? My point is that, think about this for a second. Carlson Block is claiming that it was an anonymous source. Well, prove it. Right? So anyway. And here you see Carlson Block the clown again, being promoted by Bloomberg. Yeah, this is interesting. Take a look. So Carlson Block, you might want to take a look at this video. Finding the frauds. This fucking con man is giving an interview. He's telling people how to find. It's ironic. It's fucking ironic. Same thing as this one. Take a look. Same, Real Vision. Raoul Paul, the fucking scam artist liar, Raoul Paul. Real Vision is a fucking scam. I've already gone over that. Take a look. Isn't this ironic? Kyle Bass with Carlson Block, fraudsters, criminals, and foreign governments. I mean, think about it for a second. Isn't it ironic that these two guys are discussing fraudsters? Let me refresh your memory. Kyle Bass was involved with Miles Kwok, the guy who just recently was found guilty of fraud for over $1 billion, right? I don't think he's had a sentencing yet. Miles Kwok was on Real Vision many times with all this bullshit, this anti-Chinese stuff. Kyle Bass loved to interview him because Kyle was short China. He was short the Hong Kong dollar. So all this China propaganda, he thought he was going to make money off that. Turns out that the money that was funding the particular hedge fund Kyle Bass had set up to short the Hong Kong dollar, I think at least most, if not all of it, came from Miles Kwok. Miles Kwok got that money through fraud. You understand? Nothing happened to Kyle. Nothing happened to, Kyle, he trashes China, but he takes money from China, kind of like Zero Hedge. They trash the bankers, but they advertise for the banks. Okay? Folks, all this shit's connected. All this shit's connected. Let me show you another one here, because, of course, the feature of the day is not Carlson Block. It is this scumbag. Take a look at this scumbag. Look at that face. I mean, is this the most guilty face you've ever seen? His face tells me, like, I'm guilty. Whatever it is, I'm guilty. Is it just me? See that? 2012. 2012, he was found guilty on a false report on Evergrande. You can just read these. I created these a long time ago when I was exposing him. So, very familiar with this whole story with this guy. And folks, what's not being talked about here is the media, okay? The media is the main villain with all these scams. Think about it for a second. Whether you're being fooled by Harry Dent, broken clock, Jim Rogers, broken clock, Peter Schiff, broken clock, right? They would have no exposure. They have no power without the media. The media is propping them up. Same thing with YouTube. Think about how many people could have been spared their losses from all these crypto collapses if YouTube did not, number one, allow advertisements for all these crypto scams. Number two, pump up all these guys on YouTube who were promoting crypto. Because that's part of how this algorithm works, by the way. You know that, right? I mean, it's not based. I mean, the algorithm is tied into what these fucking scammers are talking about and how they can actually make more money posting advertisements related to their content. You see? The media is the biggest problem. It is the biggest problem. Okay? Now how this got in here. Valiant was involved in Valiant. So, there you have it. So I wanted to mention that. That's right, Andrew left. I mean, this guy's such a loser. Like, on his little website for his bio, he has a link to Wikipedia. I mean, who would do that? Like, I tell you who would do that. A person who pays for editors to create the bio. That's what most of these guys do. You know that, right? It's fake. Wikipedia is a joke. It's been a scam for a long time. Okay? In fact, if you want to take a look, I mean, let me show you something now that I think about it. I'll give you an example here. Peter Schiff. Take a look at Peter Schiff's Wikipedia is completely manipulated. Think about Peter Schiff. He's got the worst track record in investing I've ever come across in my life. Now, do you see anywhere here about he was calling for hyperinflation for, 10 years or more after the financial crisis? No, you don't see that, do you? You don't see anything about that. You see about you don't see his full track record, how he's been so fucking wrong about everything. You understand? You don't see that. Okay? These guys, they pay the editors. I mean, if you don't believe me, just go and do a search. Wikipedia editors for hire or something like that. You can hire these fuckers. Okay? Wikipedia's a fucking scam. It used to be, it's supposed to be, for everyone can edit it. Well, folks, when it comes to topics that they want to shove down your throat, those are always locked. Okay? Wikipedia is telling you what they say is the word. You can't put in your 2 cents. Okay? You take a look at any supposedly controversial topic or any large-scale topic, I'll guarantee you cannot edit it. You can take a look right now. Take a look at climate change. Okay? Take a look at, I'm not going to say the word because YouTube might tear down this video, even though I'm not saying anything about this event, but they could say it's implied. The H event. You can type that in, guarantee it's locked. You can type in the 9/11, September 11 attacks, 2021, guaranteed it's locked. Okay? That's called mind control. That's called brainwashing. You see? Anyway, that's basically it. Nailed this scumbag. I hope this guy spends the rest of his life in prison. But we need to go after the media. We need to get the media. Media is the biggest enemy, the biggest facilitator of these scam artists. And think of this, folks. I mean, just think of it. Who promoted Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, and all these other scammers? CNBC. CNBC make it. Complete fucking scam production. Okay? They promoted, and I already did a video many years ago on Graham Stephan showing his false income claims. This is completely false. The media is creating all these scammers because they cannot be prosecuted. They receive money to promote these people. Why do you think Robert Kiyosaki is constantly getting promoted? He's paying the media for that promotion. Why do you think Dave Ramsey is syndicated all over the country? He pays for those slots. You all don't even know how this shit works. You don't even know you can rent out time slots on radio, just like you can to some degree on TV. Okay? Dave Ramsey pays all those radio stations. You know why? Folks, this is how it works. All these guys do that. They're paying. That's the business model. They do it. Why? Because it makes it seem like that. Wow, he's an expert. He's on all these radio stations around the country. Wow, they pay money for that airtime. So you say, well, gosh, that can be pretty expensive. How do they make that money back? Well, it's quite easy. They're able to keep any and all advertisement revenue from those broadcasts. You see? That's how they do it. You got it? You all didn't know that, did you? Okay? Anyway, folks, that's it. That's all I wanted to say today. If I think about these scammers on YouTube, I'll just fucking go off.